In today's digital landscape, everyone's rushing to adopt AI for content creation. Hundreds of companies promise to help you create content that drives results. But here's what most marketers miss. These tools might look the same on the surface, but the outputs dramatically different. Funny enough, we had this problem internally too. When our people glanced at these tools, everything seemed to look the same. So we asked, well, what makes Conductor's writing assistant special? Because we actually did build it in a very differentiated way. So we designed a Pepsi challenge of sorts, a blind comparison. We got about 70 people together to blindly compare content from different Gen AI writing tools. And the first thing we'd had to do, though, because again, they all look the same, is we had to educate everybody on what to look for. Because once you do know what to look for, you can't really unsee it. There's a lot of factors that are really important when it comes to choosing a good writing assistant. And we actually built a periodic table for AI writing assistants to help people know what to look for. And again, we identified well over 30 different elements here that we believe are really important. So what we did was first we educated everybody in the room. We taught them in depth on 5 different elements here. We talked about data specificity and data freshness. We talked about how important it is to have domain expertise when it comes to website optimization. We talked about the prompt quality that these different companies are using. And we also talked about things like hallucination guards. So here's how our challenge worked. We did 3 rounds with 4 different vendors, including Conductor, completely blind. Participants ranked outputs from 1 to 4, with number 1 being the content that they believed was the most ready to publish without any edits. So here's how our challenge worked. We designed 3 different types of content challenges. The first one was around a broad competitive term, best office chairs, high ticket items with lots of competitions. The second was a topic cluster, cat dandruff. And I know that's a very strange term to have picked in terms of the cluster of topics around there. But we chose it because the reality is a lot of companies often write about relatively obscure topics. And then third, we did a recent event, Oscars 2025, to test how these tools handle topical content. And the Oscars had just happened the previous week when we ran this test. So we did this blind test, and the results were remarkably consistent across all rounds. All we had to do is teach people what to look for, give them the examples, and this is what they came back with. I'll be completely honest, though, when we did this, we were actually a little nervous. It turned out even better than we expected. Across all the 70 people, we had almost uniformly Conductor at number 1. Let's look at what made the difference. When we jump into the content, at first glance, everything seems kind of similar. Like if you go through each of these rounds and each of the vendors, all looks somewhat similar, but the devil's really in the details here. So for vendor number 1, which again was Semrush in this example, let's point out a few things here. First, their title tag, you can't see it, but it's actually too long. It's 75 characters. Very easy SEO best practice. Kind of surprising that they wouldn't have got that right. Again, that goes back to domain expertise. You'll also notice that they mention best office chairs and desk chairs. And you'd wonder, well, what's the difference between an office chair and a desk chair? They never really describe it, though. And the content is also just very thin, right? Like they mention a chair, 1 sentence, very thin content. When we jump to Writer.AI, immediately you notice there are crazy blocks of text, which is a pretty poor user experience right away. Another thing that's interesting is they say top 10 desk chairs, which would make you think that there's going to be a list of chairs, but there is no list in the output that they created. Another interesting thing, too, is if you actually comb through the article, they don't even mention 10 chairs. They mention 3 chairs, which is very strange. Jumping to the 4th one for Jasper, a little bit better structure overall, but still really thin content. And then another interesting thing we found here, too, going back to the idea of like data freshness, they were mentioning the best office chairs in 2024, but we were generating this in 2025. And that's something that they probably should have picked up on. The next round, the cat dandruff round, we found some similar issues. Semrush had really redundant sections, like what causes dandruff in cats, and then can cats get dandruff? Redundant. Writer.AI had weird phrases like banish flakes, which was strange, and tons of redundancy issues. You'll notice that in the first sentence, it tells you that your cats can get a condition known as cat dandruff. 1 sentence later, can cats get dandruff? And it keeps talking about that. It mentions it actually multiple times in the article. Just like humans, cats can get dandruff. The answer is yes. It just doesn't make any sense. It's very strange. And when we jump to Jasper, same issues with the redundancy. Sections on things like how to get rid of cat dandruff, followed by a section on how to prevent cat dandruff. And if you look into the details, they mention the exact same points again. When we got to round 3, that's when things get really insane. We did the Oscar 2025 recap, and every competitor completely hallucinated. Semrush claimed that Eclipsed Dreams won Best Picture. That's not a real movie. It also said that the film's director was Jane Doe. Again, just completely made it up. When we get to Writer.AI, same thing. There's tons of hallucinations in here. Like celebrities like Emma Stone and Bradley Cooper were seen in outfits made from recycled materials, setting a positive example for the industry. That'd be great. Wasn't true. Didn't happen. And when we go to vendor 4, Jasper, we run into the exact same problems. Tells us that the best picture winner was Infinite Horizon by Christopher Nolan. I'm sure that'd be an awesome movie, but he's not made a movie called Infinite Horizon. So now let's jump back to vendor number 2, which in this case was Conductor, and let's show how we were able to do things differently. First thing, for best office chairs, we included the current year, first of all, for the in the title tag and in the H1. People also liked the layout with key features and the ideal for sections. So we had a nice list of chairs and then called out the individual features and mentioned who these were actually built for. We incorporated things real people look for. Home office use and gaming chairs were both specific things that we called out. So office chairs for long use, best chairs for the home office, gaming chairs, all that good stuff. We preemptively answered common questions like, is Herman Miller worth it? Herman Miller was mentioned in most of these articles, and they're pretty expensive chairs. So the idea is we're anticipating the needs of the user, and we're providing an answer to a question that we think they might have, which is, why are these chairs so expensive, and should I spend money for it? And that approach doesn't just work for search. It's exactly what makes content perform well in LLMs too. By anticipating and answering real questions people have, we're creating content that LLMs will pull from when people are asking these same questions. Jumping to round 2, clear descriptions right up front from the Conductor article that we produced as far as like, what is it? And then we get into some specifics around like, why does my cat have dandruff, on her back? We also get into, again, more common questions that we believe the users might have, like, do indoor cats get dandruff? What can I feed to my cats to get rid of it? Does brushing a cat help with dandruff? All of these pieces that, again, are us anticipating the needs of the user. And then we also add a nice little FAQ recap at the end, which is perfect for featured snippets and LLM answers. This FAQ structure is particularly powerful for LLMs, which love to pull concise, direct answers from well-structured content. For the Oscar recap, we got the facts right. Adrian Brody did bring the Best Actor home for The Brutalist. Mikey Madison did win Best Actress for Honora. Zoe Saldana and Kieran Culkin won for Best Supporting Actress and Actor, respectively. This factual accuracy is increasingly critical as LLMs are being trained to favor reliable information sources. So when you look at Conductor, if you jumped into our writing assistant, you can see that live right here. So you can see that, we pull in a lot of the top content, again, on demand. That's how we prevent those hallucinations and can help with really topical pieces that you're looking at. We look at the different objectives and the audience that you should be targeting based on what we know about the topics that you're going after here. And we'll tell you whether or not your content is satisfying those different stages. So for example, if we're looking at a content type that performs well, like in this case, a list-based article is probably what you want for best office chairs. We'll tell you whether or not you are actually doing that. We also, a big piece here is we're looking at the questions that you need to answer. So we pull in the commonly asked questions that people are using related to this topic so that we can make sure you have a chance to answer those different pieces. And then there's other things too that are like a little bit more basic, like content length, readability, all these types of things like that will make sure you stay where you need to be so that you're going to resonate with your audience. So to wrap it up, it's a really crowded market right now with tons of these AI writing tools that all look similar on the surface. But as we've seen, they're absolutely just not the same. Conductor's writing assistant isn't just checking the box. We built something that's combining fresh data, real domain expertise, and proven optimization strategies to create content that actually is going to perform really well, not just in traditional search, but increasingly in the AI-powered search experiences that are becoming more common every day. So don't just grab any tool out there that generates words on a page. There's a million of them. If you want content that's actually going to deliver really good results in search engines and LLMs, you really should be using the writing assistant from Conductor.